श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम। श्री राम जय राम। श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम। श्री राम जय राम। श्री राम जय राम। श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज। श्री गुरु चरण निज मनु मुकुर सुधारी। बरनौ रघुबर बिमल जसु। जो दायक फलचारी। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके। सुमिरौ पवन कुमार। बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि। हरहु कलेस विकार। श्री राम जय जय राम। 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 सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। ओ ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। Hari Om everyone. I am so happy that all of you are here. Also, because you decided to send your children over here. Many of you told me that high school is a grade where Sohamji, you don't know what all things they have on their plate. To carve out 2 full days, that too on a long weekend, for a retreat like this, it's an accomplishment in itself. It also shows your appreciation and commitment to this knowledge. Secular knowledge is one part of their development, but another is the spiritual perspective, which is something unique. The beauty of our scripture is such, you present whichever question, you will get perspectives about that topic from the same scripture. If you sit down as a high schooler and ask Goswami Tulsidas Ji, what is it that I can take away from Hanuman Chalisa? You will feel Hanuman Chalisa is only for high schoolers. You sit as a spiritual seeker, studying Upanishads. Then you ask Goswami Tulsidas Ji, What is in it for me? You will feel Hanuman Chalisa is only for advanced students of Vedanta. But this session, we are trying to seek perspectives about parenting a teenager. That is the topic, huh? Peaceful teen parenting. And we are asking the same text, Hanuman Chalisa, and saying, Hanumanji, what can we learn from your Leelas? What can we learn from your Charitra? Whatever things you have done, what can we learn from it? And I have done some of my research based on what are these children looking for? I feel very blessed. I don't have all answers, but I know what are the right questions. In and through those interactions, that is what they share. And we will try to seek perspectives from Hanuman Chalisa such that it's a joyful journey. I was thinking which chaupai is the closest related to parenting, teenage parenting. In Hanuman Chalisa, which chaupai? The one I could find is Durgama Kaj Jagat ke jete, Sugama Anugraha Tumare tete. If God's grace is there, even the most difficult thing which we feel, I have no idea how this is going through. Even such Durgama Kaja becomes Sugama. That is our prayer to Hanumanji. If you have questions, last few minutes, you can share them. We can collectively reflect. But I have some things to share before we do that. Before we directly jump into parenting, before we go into teenage parenting, very specific topic, we should take a step back and just look at different stages of life that our rishis have laid out for us. Those of you who attend Vedanta classes, you are very familiar with it. But I'm sure some of you might be new to this. And it's also a reminder that I do take several other Vedanta classes during weekdays, weekends. Try to attend whichever one you can. See, the thing is, if we know our role very clearly, we can identify duty also very specifically. Sometimes we ask the question, what is my duty? You see, that's not the complete question. If you say, what is my duty? The counter question would be, what is your role? Based upon role, duty gets defined. So our rishis, they divided our entire life into 4 segments and gave us very specific roles. They said, you hold on to this role, you'll naturally know what is your duty. The first stage is brahmacharya. Brahmacharya ashrama. If you broadly divide 100 years of human life, the first 25 is considered as brahmacharya ashrama, where the main emphasis is on learning. That is the first brick in anybody's personality. If this brick is strong, the later bricks, it becomes easier to lay it. The foundation is strong, the house will be very strong. So this is the first ashrama where no other concern is there. That is why they have scholarships, right? In universities and other places. Why do people give scholarships? So that this child doesn't have to worry about anything else other than studying. That is your main priority. Focus just on learning. So in that ashrama, that is the focus, just learning. Are we in that ashrama right now? Probably not. Probably not. That is why the duty will get defined based on role. If we feel we are in brahmacharya ashrama, according to that, there will be duties. Okay? So we say that is not majority. That is not the ashrama. One who has lived brahmacharya well, second ashrama for that seeker is grahastha ashrama. Grahastha ashrama is when we have a family life, But that comes with its own responsibilities. Right? So Puja Guruji has given these terms, by the way. What is the main thing in Brahmacharya Ashrama? Learn. What is the main thing in Grahastha? Earn, but with a higher goal. Higher goal. In fact, that is the ashrama which supports all other ashrama. Brahmacharya also, and the later two which is going to come. So that is Grahastha Ashrama. Same thing applies here also. If somebody has lived Grahastha Ashrama well, they can go to the next one effortlessly. Meaning whatever we have taken up as duty, as roles, at some point we should say, this role is complete now. So when that happens, that seeker enters the third ashrama called as Vanaprastha Ashrama. I was trying to look for a good icon for Vanaprastha. Whatever I found was not very appealing. This was the closest I could find. Going into a forest. The modern day term is scaling down. Scaling down. Scaling down. Whole life, we don't want to be doing the same thing at the same intensity. Somewhere a stage should come where we say, my active years of involvement is over now. And the main purpose for which we have taken a human birth, which you start going closer towards that goal, that turn which happens, that is Vanaprastha Ashrama. Brahmacharya was earn, not earn. Brahmacharya was learn. Grahastha Ashrama was earn. Vanaprastha is when you turn. Now to turn back is very difficult unless the previous ashrama is lived well. Okay, suddenly to scale down is very hard. One who has done Vanaprastha well, it is said they can single-pointedly seek that higher truth with no other commitments. Have lived a good life, everything is done well. That is the last ashrama, Sannyasa Ashrama. First one is Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. Now these roles, if you understand well, every ashrama will become ashrama. Shrama means what, Stress. Shrama means anxiety, a lot of tiredness. And sometimes we only get this question, what am I doing? Everything is going on, but where is this all headed? No end in sight. But if you appreciate this thought flow of our rishis, every ashrama will become a joy and we will unfold from within, go to the next one. But our focus today is not any of these, or not to discuss on the ashramas. Our focus is to discuss on the second one. Okay, Grahastha Ashrama, because that is where the topic of parenting will come in. Right? Other three ashramas will not have this as a main concern. In Vanaprastha, if we have concerns about parenting, that means you have to think again. Only if you have done the second ashrama well, then only we can graduate into third one. So today we'll focus on the second one, which is Grahastha Ashrama. Now, if somebody has entered Grahastha Ashrama, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of entering Grahastha Ashrama? This question even youngsters ask. They say, oh, now I have to decide which path I have to take. But sometimes I wonder, why am I taking this path? So even Grahastha Ashrama, if somebody is entering, there we should have this question, what should I accomplish through this stage of life? What was the age for Grahastha Ashrama? 25 to 50 or 26 to 50. A rough division. You don't have to make it exactly. It's a purpose of Grahastha Ashrama. The first one is inner unfoldment. What is hard to learn from a book? All the qualities which are taught through a book, Grahastha Ashrama will teach us without pen and paper. What is acceptance? You can give a long discourse. You can also have a lot of examples. How to control anger. You search it online, you'll get so many tips. All tips are on one side and Grahastha Ashrama is on the other side. If somebody can develop a spiritual perspective, what that ashrama will teach us is much more than anything else. If somebody has gone through it. And another thing to keep in mind is, really speaking, we don't need to give titles like these. Spiritual parenting, peaceful teen parenting. We need to give it so that all of you come. If I say this is on Tattva Bodha or Atma Bodha or something, you'll say, oh, that I already attend, or it is too Vedantic. So we also have to create these terms, If somebody is a good sadhaka, that sadhaka can play all roles very well. Sadhaka means seeker. That seeker can be a good mother, be a good father, be a good employee, be a good employer. Whatever roles are there, every role will have a touch of spiritual knowledge. So over here, this ashrama is something which will really ripen us. What was a bud before will blossom into a flower. Our own mind, which was like a bud before, will blossom into a flower. And the sun which is there is different life experiences. Different experiences are like the sun which has made that flower unfold. So that is the first thing of Grahastha Ashrama. Everything will have some or the other teaching. Second thing of Grahastha Ashrama is, it's a deep realization that we are together in a family. It is true. But all of us are on our own individual paths. Because we are together as a family doesn't mean everybody's path has to be the same. That realization, if it comes, the quality of acceptance has started sinking into a seeker. Two things. One is inner unfoldment by bringing different qualities. Every day Bhagwan will say, this is a new exam. Previous day, whichever thing I could not practice, he said, today is another opportunity to practice that same thing. And in this way, when a seeker continuously works on himself, slowly we realize a lot of unfoldment is happening within. The same situation, how we would have responded 5 years before, Grahastha Ashrama has taught us to respond differently. Conscious effort, that is the inner unfoldment. And second is, no matter where we are and how we are together, there is some divine intelligence which is taking care of everybody's journey. One of our Swamiji would say, actually this was Puja Guruji only. Guruji had given one talk on parenting. And he said one line which was very direct. It was from Khalil Gibran. And that quote is, children come through you, they don't belong to you. Children come through you, they don't belong to you. Meaning what? Bhagwan has entrusted us with their responsibility. Our job is to allow them to unfold from within and discover their own path. Just like we have a path, they also have a path, and it's not a random path. Okay, tell me one thing. Who takes care of entire creation? One individual or Bhagwan? Bhagwan, right? Within that creation, is our family included or not? Creation means everything is included. You cannot say creation starts from outside my house. If Bhagwan takes care of creation, who takes care of our family? See, this is where we'll have the most challenge. When we say creation, we are okay with understanding Bhagwan takes care of creation. And we are also okay in saying family is part of total creation. But when it comes to saying who takes care of it, we feel we as individuals take care. So that is where we are led into this understanding. We do take care, no wonder. But in that taking care, we are contributors, not controllers. Towards the journey of every child and our own family journey, we are all contributors. The one who is deciding everything, that is Bhagavan. Now somebody might say this is a very fatalistic thinking, Why do you put everything on Bhagavan? Actually, this is realistic thinking. Bhagavan is saying one part is planning our life, giving them the best of the things. But once that is done, he says next part is my responsibility. One Mahatma Ji would share, if a farmer plants a seed, gives it fertilizer, puts water, takes care of it, protects it from extreme sun. Now after that, if he gets worried about that seed, he says his worrying has nothing to do with whether that seed will sprout or not. Once he has put the seed, taken care of it, that seed will sprout. That seed will come up. He says farmer worrying doesn't have anything to do with at what speed that seed will come out. He said that is Karma Yoga in parenting. We are doing our part, but how that final product is going to be. In that we are contributors, the one who is taking care is the Lord. This is the part of sadhana as a parent. Okay, first we saw 4 ashramas, right? Within that, Grahastha ashrama, and within that we are discussing about what is the purpose of Grahastha ashrama. If these qualities can come to us, then the purpose of Grahastha ashrama is fulfilled. Sometimes we feel we are taking care of children, but really speaking, through them, we are benefiting much more. I always feel all these Karma Yoga tasks, they are like making garland with fragrant flowers. One product you will get outside. Make a garland with fragrant flowers, you will get a garland of fragrant flowers. But what will you get with you? Your hands will be fragrant too. It will stay much longer. That is exactly how this seva works. We took care of children. They are doing well. That is external result. But in and through that, this sadhaka got so many qualities. That is what was Bhagwan's blessing. This quote you must have heard before, right? What is parenting? So by the time a man realizes his father was right, he already has a son who thinks he is wrong. Means there is a phase when there are different experiences, just the way we think, and we can't help it. We also have gone through that, rebelling, so many things. So one healer is time itself, when things will just fall in place. We will not leave at that. We'll still look at some more pointers. But these are some broader strokes which help us take a step back. All these self-help tips, right? Sometimes they get too much into nitty-gritties, which is good. It is needed. But there is one more layer. Okay, and that is of faith. That is of surrender. Having faith in the bigger plan. I will try to blend our Shastriya understanding with some modern terms, okay? Because see, if you only focus on the latest modern terms, it needs authority also. Whatever point you are thinking, how will you validate it? Whether this is the right way to think, or is it somebody's opinion? That is where you need scriptures. Okay. So what do our scriptures say about 3 duties of a parent? Our Shastras, they say parents have 3 duties. The first one is called as Guna Adhanam. Guna Adhanam means bringing values. That is the first duty of a parent in making sure that the child learns good values, investing time in that. And we do so many things for that. Bala Vihar is one of it. At our home, we have cultural things. Every festival we celebrate in a traditional way. All of that is same, Guna Adhanam. And if there is some kind of resistance, we can always focus on the why rather than what. Especially in cultural things, if we get to that point, we'll discuss it also. Sometimes whichever cultural thing we emphasize more, there is a pushback. If you say wear tilak, why? Why should I wear tilak? I knew somebody who used to wear tilak every day to work. All interviews he wore tilak and went. And I asked him, how was it? Different places he went. He said, I just told them, this reminds me of my values. That was it. And he said, even if they are from a different culture, different religion, they had satsang in interviews. That person said, in our culture, this is how we are reminded of values. In your culture, you are reminded of values in this way. So that is part of Guna Adhanam. That is the first duty of a parent. Now there are several facets. Everything you cannot discuss just in one session. Because another challenge over here is, if you are living in a different culture, we need to know how to blend in that culture without emphasizing too much upon external appearance. This point Gurudev would very much emphasize in this country. Somebody went to him and said, Gurudev, we need a logo for Yuva Kendra. He said, why do you need a logo? Your face should show that. Logo for Yuva Kendra. He said, why do you need a logo? The way you work should show that you belong to Yuva Kendra. If you are facilitating a discussion, the way you facilitate should show that there is some deeper facet to your personality. All of that is values only. Value doesn't always mean only external appearance, wearing some kind of clothes, wearing some kind of marks. They are reminders of inner values. And they have to go through it much more than all of us. Right? Because they are with their other friends 80% of the time. Whereas for many people, our identity is sealed. Means we identify primarily with one nationality. But if somebody has to switch 2 roles, then they have to be very mindful of this. Okay, first one is Guna Adhanam. Second is called as Dosha Apanayanam. Dosha Apanayanam means removing negativities. This also is a duty of a parent. If there is too much attachment, then we never see any shortcoming in the child. That is why any competition, you cannot make parents as the judge. Debate competition, what do? Do they make parents as the judge, or do they have another panel? Parents only. Not of the same child. Because no matter how hard you try, it's very difficult to be objective. Outside it's okay, but when it comes to a role of a parent, it is that one of the role is to identify these shortcomings. How to communicate will be our next point. But this is one of the roles also. Okay, doshapanayam. And third one is hinanga purti. Hinanga purti means every child has some potential which they themselves are not aware. They will have some strength which they need to be reminded of. Like our Hanumanji. So one role of a parent is to become Jambavanji. They might not see it, but it is our responsibility to remind them of it. Okay. You might wonder what is this painting on the left? It is exactly what the role of a parent is. What does a painter do when he is painting? He brings attributes from outside, qualities from outside, thinks through the whole painting. Then whatever thing is not good in that thing, that he has to correct. Sculptors and all, when they make the eye, such an intricate work it is. Several days they will spend just to make the eye. Any painting, that's what they say, those who are painters would know. To make those eye expressions is the most challenging part. So whatever shortcoming is there, that has to be corrected. And whichever part of the painting has come out well, that we have to strengthen. Either it is painting or sculpting. That is what we are doing with the children also. Somebody said, now I know why this is an abstract painting. You're doing it, but you have no idea what is going to come up. Somewhere something is happening. But that is how most of the roles are. Mahabharata, when we listen to or when we discuss, many people have a lot of questions. Why did Karna do this? Why did Bhishma do that? How many decisions in our life can we say today that this is the right thing I'm doing? At a given point, nobody can say for certain, this is the best thing to do. Or this will be the right thing in the future. 100% nobody can say it. Based on our own understanding, convictions, we can come up with our best judgment. So that is how this part also is. Nobody can say for certain whether this is the right decision or not. Okay. But based on whatever values we have, convictions we have, we say, I have taken my best decision. Now it is up to me to make it work. Otherwise, this self-doubt can always be bothering. Have I done enough for my child? Or can I do more? There is no answer for that question. Because at no point we can conclusively say, this is it. Right? That only time will tell. But from our side, the sadhaka does whatever they have to do. All of you are with me so far? 4 ashramas, grahastha ashrama. Within that, 3 duties of a parent. This you will always see in Hanuman Chalisa. Hanumanji is a blend of Vidya and Guna. Vidyavana Guni Ati Chatura. Guna means qualities and Vidya means all the other secular education, intelligence, whatever else they have. Okay. There is one Subhashita which tells us about what should we keep in mind while fulfilling these duties. What were the 3 duties in Sanskrit? Guna adhana, doshapanayam, hinanga purti. In English? Values? Strengthening positives. Now, in and through these 3 duties, how to fulfill them? What should we keep in mind while we are doing this? It's a very famous Subhashita. Lalayet panchavarshani. Until 5 years, fondle them, give them a lot of love. Next one, many might not like it. Dasha Varshani Tadayet. For the next 10 years, until they are 15, one should discipline. That disciplining part will test all our sadhana. You know, it is said Lord Buddha, he had one disciple who was a sitar player. He said, I heard you are a great sitar player. Can you play something? He started playing, but he was trying to tighten the instrument too hard, the strings. And while he was doing it, it broke. Then he took another string. He was very afraid now. Oh, it broke the previous time. I should not tighten it. So he did not tighten it at all. No music. So we have a book our Chinmaya Mission has published. Not too loose, not too tight, just right. What is that boundary? Nobody can say, because every child is different. Every parenting perspective will be different. Some children can handle a lot of tightening. You give them instructions, give them a little bit of more disciplining, they'll take it. But some might find it hard. Some might want this tightening. That is another thing I've seen. Many would seek these perspectives and guidance, but might be hesitant in asking. So sharing these ideas in such a way that we don't expect them to implement it also. If we can do it, that will become our sadhana. Whichever perspective, either it's about career, about the choices they make, the way they are living in college, all of that, not completely cutting off, but not being on the other extreme. So much so that the communication stops. Right? That is Dasha Varshani Tadayet. But if I have a teenager, what is the perspective? Prapte tu shodashe varshe. When they are 16, putram mitravad acharet. One should treat them just like a friend. Now remember, these duties are still there. One has to bring values, one has to remove negativities, one has to strengthen positives. The question is how? Just like you do with a friend, with that mindset, one should do it. So if I have to bring values, what is the way to do it? Bhagwan Krishna says through demonstration. Whichever value we want our child to have, we should uncompromisingly try to practice it. We might be imperfect. Do we want our children to be punctual? That means what? We cannot be 1 minute late. If we want our children to have good, qualities, hospitable, that also is learned through demonstration. Think about your own life. Whatever values you have learned was never from a book. We have tasted it somewhere, somebody has given it to us. That is when we are inspired. You say, oh, when I went to my grandmother's place, this is how they treated us. It was so welcoming. Or some other relative, whatever it is, good values. Whichever we have tasted, that is when we are inspired to live them. Same happens over here also. Do we want our children to do sadhana? Have a strong mind? Spend some time in prayer with Bhagwan. What does that demand? We ourselves should be regular in our sadhana. I feel children, they have their video camera always on. And the recording is always pressed. And so subtle impressions get formed. When parents are not there, the same thing gets replayed later. And good qualities, good qualities only. How they would serve, even food-wise. Now, when they come by themselves, they will serve exactly the same way as they have learned from parents. This we get to see, huh? We get to see. All good qualities are like that, learned through demonstration. We don't have to worry about whether it's working or not. Okay, that is the first one. I have to keep pace. We are already running out of time. Removing negativity is through conversation. Manu Maharaj has written one line in Manusmriti. He says, if you want to understand somebody else, we should understand our own mind first. If somebody has to guide somebody else, we have to understand how our mind works. No matter what shortcoming it is in us, do we like to be corrected directly? If somebody comes and says, this thing is not right, change it. Not in our work, huh? Somebody is telling directly to ourselves. Directly telling to us, nobody likes it. So here also, that correction has to come through conversation. It cannot be direct advice. Goswami Tulsidas Ji goes one step further. He says there are different sorrows in this world. The greatest sorrow to handle is when you are corrected in front of everybody else. Jadyapi jaga dharuna dukhanana sabate kathina jati avamana. It could be in front of somebody, just one or two people, or a bigger group. He says never do that in front of everybody. Do it separately, because that is also part of your duty. You cannot afford to just neglect it. But how we do it, when we do it, in what way we do it, that is when our sadhana will contribute. There are many studies which are being done on these topics, psychology studies. One of the major challenge teenagers generally, parents will have with teenagers is, they don't want to talk. Communication is lacking. And this researcher had given so many points. Why would a teen not talk? He has written a paper on it. And he says the major thing is, either we are asking too many questions. Before he can process question 1, question 2 has come. And then when he responds, instead of a patient ear, he gets more advice. So the best option is, don't talk. No questions, no advice, you are happy. Of course, they have their own way, researchers, of putting it. So he gave solutions also. He said, ask relevant questions which don't have open-ended answers, and a genuine concern or care. But the main thing is, you don't have to apply any of this. You say, we know how to talk to teenagers, but as long as there is a conversation happening, there is a window open for some teaching. That is the second one of removing negativities. Third one is emphasizing on their strengths. That will happen through motivation. Right? Whenever you see something good in them, say that thing, if it can be emphasized. There are also many studies which have shown how we are made to believe those things which we repeat. Particularly for children, if you keep telling them, or you are always late, that child suddenly starts feeling, there is no way I can be on time. So if that works with negative things, it also works with positive things. That if we notice something in a child which is very appreciable, their ability to organize, ability to think through, right? Ability to blend with friends, whatever those things are, the sadhaka will always keep an eye out for them. Okay, 3 duties we saw: guna adhana, doshapanayana, hinanga purti. But how do we go about fulfilling those duties? I said, pay attention to this Subhashita. They're not children anymore. They are adults. And we can talk to them as adults also. Right? So those are these points. Next are some challenging or challenges that we generally face in parenting a teen. Now, all these pointers, I did one survey, okay? They're coming from there only. I have not made any of these things. Anonymous survey with teenagers. I also wanted to ask them, what is the thing you are most grateful about for your parents? That was also one of the questions. Huh? And it was very humbling to see all those responses. One thing they said is, they inspired me to continue Bala Vihar even if I did not want to go. And these are kids who have graduated, okay? They are in college, either working. There were so many instances I felt, so many things on my plate, I don't want to continue this, but they kept emphasizing. And of course, giving them a patient ear whenever they're going through different emotions. Sometimes it will be a storm of rain, or it will be fire. Like Meghnad's arrow. Fire and rain always together would come from Meghnad. Fire is anger. And rain is tears. In both of them, knowing how to handle it, letting the storm pass by, they said they were very grateful for their parents who had done this. Okay. But these were some challenges, okay, that they shared. One is managing teenage rebellion. Now this comes with every step and several topics. There is no one area where they will rebel. It could be a simple thing. You tell them to do this, they would not want to do that same thing. That is one challenge. You say, which verse in Hanuman Chalisa gives a perspective for this? Sukshma rupa dhari siyahi dikhava, bikata rupa dhari lanka jarava. As a parent, it is said we should learn this quality from Hanumanji. He can become small, he can become big also. In front of Sita ji, became very small. When he had to burn Lanka, became big. So here also, when there is rebellion or something else going on, knowing when to step back and knowing when to step up. Constantly thinking to this point, that stepping back is not a sign of weakness. Yesterday only I was sharing with them, sometimes we think only speaking is a sign of strength and listening is a sign of weakness. Really speaking, it's not true. Those who are good leaders, they're also good listeners. So over here also, when there is a lot of rebellion going on, there are times when we can just take the foot off the gas pedal. And it's for the overall good. Okay, overall good of the family, good of the child. And you're not giving up yet. Huh? You are taking that foot off with a purpose in the future. Because that same child has to open up, and when there are teachable moments, that is when we can feed something new. Okay. And this we all know, anger cannot be dealt with anger. If there is anger on one side, anger on another side, this is fire cannot douse fire. So if we are sadhakas, the onus is upon ourselves. With siblings also we say the same thing, right? If there is an older child and a younger child, and if the older one is throwing tantrums for a toy, what do we say? Hey, that person is younger. You are the older one, you should be more understanding. Like that, between a sadhaka and anybody else, this is the expectation. You say, why can't that person calm down first? You say, who is a sadhaka? You or that person? No, sadhaka title I want to keep. Devotee title I want to keep. But calming down first he has to do. But here it is the other way around. Constantly thinking through what can keep everybody together. Okay, that is this thing. Okay, we have 5 more minutes. I'll try to wrap it up quickly. Second challenge they said is quest for autonomy. Most of the times, both groups, children and parent, both of them want control, right? About the choices they make, food that they eat, places that they go, friends that they meet. Who decides? One group says, we will decide. Group 2 says, how long will you decide? Now I can decide. Group 1 says, no, you don't know. We still have duties. We still need to make sure. Group 2 says, that phase is over now. We are on our own. Here it is said, okay, I will not explain this chaupai right now. Directly we'll go to the point. Here it is said, the quality of building trust. That's a great ability. In fact, that is one of the final culmination of our duty as a parent. If we can have this trust and empower them to take the right decisions, they are on their own, they are well taken care of. And this is easier to do first in a controlled environment. If we have never allowed them to take decisions when we were overseeing them, we'll always be anxious later when they're on their own. Right? So this part is giving them opportunities when we can keep an eye. And also having this trust that if we have fed the right understanding, right values, and if they have Bhagwan as their anchor, there is nothing that we need to be concerned about. Otherwise, this tussle is quite stressful sometimes. All of you are connecting with these topics, or you feel it is very off? Good. But our perspectives always have to be spiritual. Okay. Questions will be similar, questions will be ordinary. But the main thing is, how do you build that trust? What do you think is the main duty of a guru? The guru can have different roles, right? Their duty is to teach. But their duty also is to make sure that the student becomes independent. A teacher doesn't want the student to depend upon him for every decision, at every point coming and asking the teacher. The teaching should be so thorough that the teacher is confident that even if the teacher is not around, student will do the same thing what the teacher wants. That is good teaching. Right? If the guru is always afraid, I don't know what the student will do. Means either the teaching was not thorough, or student only did not pay attention to what the teacher was teaching. So parenting is also very similar. Making sure that they are empowered to take right decisions. Third one was communication with teens. That of course we covered before. Listening is more effective than speaking. And this is a very important point, looking out for teachable moments. See, our mind, many a times, most of the times, it is closed. Somewhere there will be opportunities, somewhere there will be moments when it slowly opens up. Only when it's open, you can feed anything inside. You must have seen if somebody is not willing to listen, no matter how much you tell, nothing will go inside. So stepping back when there was rebellion, stepping back when there was anger, that was actually not giving up on the child at that moment. That was a step to look out for these teachable moments. Okay, so that is the third one about communication. And when you talk to them, you'll realize there are so many other facets why they don't want to communicate. If they get a sense that we are judging them based on their answer, that judgment will stop the communication. Right? And more so with teenagers than anybody else. The last one also we had touched a little bit upon. This is about cultural incompatibility. Where should we draw the line? Because we might have some ideal goals that this is how my child should be. These are the traditional things that they should be doing. But when they are in a different culture, they might find it totally awkward, totally different, or just difficult to explain. So here we should always remember, Sanatana Dharma is not only about external appearance. Sanatana Dharma, in its true essence, is holding on to values. So Gurudev's that one line we should remember. He said, if you are from Yuva Kendra, the way you are working, the way you are talking, the way you are being or blending with a group, if you are doing it holding on to values, we are already holding on to our dharma. Now, whether that person externally applies tilak or not, it is up to him. Both sides are true. I'm not taking one or the other. I'm saying we should just appreciate both in the right context. If we are focusing on the culture side, focus on the why. Just like that person who said, tilak reminds me of my values. That is good enough. And whatever other answers we can find. If we focus only on the what, then it feels as though we are pressured. See, we ourselves don't like it. If, let us say, you are from one part of the country and there are some traditions in the other part of the country. If somebody comes and says, this is our tradition, you have to follow it. From other tradition, they come and say, we will not like it. You say, I grew up with one tradition. If somebody enforces another tradition upon us, same thing is true with children also. If there is a pushback for something, there is a reason for it. That if you appreciate, we can work on it. And hopefully, Durgama Kaja can become Sugama. Okay. That is all I had. I went few minutes over, but I hope that will be okay with our schedule. Thank you all so much for coming. And as I said, sending all of them in the midst of all the other things that was going on with their school and everything else. I hope it will continue on an annual basis. You can ask them later what they studied, what they discussed,